let's get to it. Spawning in the top left-hand position on Shakura's Plateau, we have our red Zerg player, Fallen. Spawning in the bottom right position, we have our blue Zerg player, xSHADE, which we're probably just going to say Shade because I don't want to have to remember the X, but I'm probably going to mess it up anyway. We are cross-position on Shakura's Plateau, so in addition to the early game shenanigans that we might see in ZVZ, we might be able to see a lengthy game because of that. There's quite a bit of a long distance on Shakura's Plateau, going from your third all the way down into pretty much crossing to the other player's base, so lots of distance by ground. And air battles, although still viable, because it's cross-position, it's not necessarily as viable as a normal position would. So both players are doing the typical scouting cross-air to make sure nothing happens, and we're pretty much seeing a mirror from them. So scouting pretty much close to the same time as well. So pretty much we're going to look for the first deviation and seeing what they do with that. We see a we see an extractor from Fallen, so we're likely going to see a pool pretty quick once he can bank up those 200 minerals, and we're going to see a 14 gas 14 or 12 gas 14 pool. So a pretty strict speedling opening in the sense of the word. Excuse me. And Shade decides to go hatch first, it looks like. So pool goes down right when the hatch goes down. Very, very interesting. Now getting guys on gas, it will be very, very close to having 100 gas will be very, very close to being ready whenever that spawning pool gets done. So I'm likely going to see a speedling opening. Pool going down for Shade. So the name of the game here is that Fallen is either utilizing the early pool to either apply pressure or to be able to make sure that he's completely safe on his own expansion. So the burden of this game is Fallen's going to be able to utilize this early pool to apply some pressure or make sure that he can get set up to do what he needs to do. Shade will utilize his early expansion to either establish a macro lead, being able to I keep fumbling. Being able to establish a macro game to be able to get units out or be able to get his money up. How many games has he casted so far? Why so serious? Casted one of your games already. I'll put it to YouTube when I can, but if you'd be so kind to keep watching, I'd appreciate it. So we see speed coming out and a Baneling nest coming from Shade. So let's see how it converts. Getting a Baneling nest in addition to his expansion, I would definitely favor Shade at the moment, even though we got some additional Zerglings on the way. So speed's about halfway done. Gas, he still hasn't taken off gas, so he's deciding to do some Banelings of his own. So Shade's going to have more stuff, but Fallen's going to have faster stuff. Like faster as in like actually faster things. So let's see how it goes from there. Taking those two Zerglings and killing a drone. Some additional Zerglings come in. And this is the gloriousness that's ZVZ. That one Zergling has speed kick in, so he's going to utilize that Zergling to scout around and see what he can find. So he sees the speed in the Baneling nest as well. If we look at the units lost tab, it looked like it was a trade that favored Shade. He was able to kill a lot more units and losing not as many drones. So following with that expansion coming right up. So if Shade decides to not attack, it looks like we're going to have two base wars from these ZVZ players. 10 lings on the way. And we've got about more than 10 lings, about 13 lings and a Baneling sitting right there. So we'll see how they do the dance of seduction from being two Zerg players. Fallen's warping in 3 more Banelings right towards the front. So those slow lings, speed's about to kick in for Shade. And a Spinecrawler for Shade going down. So Shade definitely feels very, very much on the back pedal right now. 2 Banelings coming in, deciding to see what they can do. Oh, both of those Oh, those 2 Banelings were definitely worth it. Shade's got 1 Zergling, he's got 12 on the way, and Fallen decides to run by. Oh, that Baneling up there decides. Oh, excellent setup from both of these players. Fallen taking the 1 Zergling that didn't make it up there and warping into Baneling right up there. We got 12 more Zerglings coming in for Shade. Looks like a Baneling went off, maybe being able to kill some stuff. 8 drones coming in from Fallen, so Fallen definitely feels like that Shade is definitely on the back foot, deciding to take that as an opportunity to drone based on that. The Baneling does get in, but it doesn't kill too much. You normally need 2 Banelings or a Baneling that that walks into already damaged units. It did 35 damage, which won't quite one-shot a drone. We see a counterattack coming for Fallen. We have 2 evolution chambers being put down to funnel in the blue units. In addition to the 2 evolution chambers, we have Roach Warren. In comparison, we have 22 drones for Fallen and 17 drones for Shade. So even though Fallen took a later lead in his expansion, took a later expansion, he was able to capitalize on that by being able to drone and make sure that Shade was a little bit nervous in expanding. So lots of stuff going on. Shade sending 1 Zergling up, trying to poke at any Banelings he can get his hands on. Sending 2 more in. And lots of exchanges with them. So we see these Lings do a whole lot of Fallen's deciding to pull back, try not to have anything to do with these Banelings, and there's a lot of action going on, ladies and gentlemen. 1 Baneling going in and detonating on those 4 Zerglings right there. Deciding to take refuge behind that Spine Crawler. 8 more Banelings being warped in. They're being warped in right at the bottom of the ramp, and they're going to go right here. Zerglings setting up over here. How'd we go? Wow, that 1 Baneling from Fallen took out all of that! Oh, those Fallen decides to counterattack, but the Banelings from Shade would not have anything to do with that. These 6 Banelings decided to take the long way around. They're keeping me on my toes right now, ladies and gentlemen. That 1 Zergling coming in and attacking that, not shading too much. 1 Zergling at a time. How are they detonating right off the bat? Because they're attacking, technically. Oh, losing all those Banelings was not what he wanted to do. Shade still has 2 Banelings. They're still hurt, but they're still preventing all mining happening from this base. And a big run by coming in from Shade coming up the ramp. Oh, this is too fun. Alright, so Shade decided to throw down a Roach Warren, decided to change up the tech a little bit. We have 21 drones for Fallen and 16 drones for Shade. I think Fallen's still in the position because he's very well saturated up here, not oversaturated at all, about to take a second gas. Even though Shade has 2 bases, he's not able to fully saturate both of them. So as we go into the income tab, Fallen's actually in the lead, mining a couple more minerals at the time. Some very good exchanges from both of these guys. 1 Zergling running in to see what kind of tech path it has. Gets an eye of the Roach Warren. And let's see how Fallen decides to react with that. With 5 more Banelings on the way, we see some Roaches and drones coming from Shade. And we've kind of gotten to a period of stabilization. Some very good exchanges from both of these players. Losing a lot of actual attacking units with Fallen being in the lead, but both of them being able to save their economies, and that's the reason why we're going into a later game. If there was a Baneling that was able to detonate on quite a few Zerglings, it would be, or quite a few drones, excuse me, it'd be over. So that Baneling getting detonated on Roaches, which doesn't really do too much. These Zerglings are coming in, being able to do a whole lot, being able to take out these Roaches, but Shade able to deflect that and take a 9 food lead. Now Shade being bold and going to lair with 1 gas, that makes me a little nervous, but apparently he thought he had the gas to do it with. I wonder what he's going to decide to do with it. Maybe utilize some additional tech for his Roaches. But he doesn't have the gas to be able to support anything else. We see both players get up to about 29 drones. And they're pretty even on everything else. Fallen's got a little bit more Roaches, or Fallen has a little bit more Zerglings, and Shade has a little bit more Roaches. My apologies, Tim. Lair coming from Fallen as well. Now, the one thing that Fallen has going for him is that he definitely has the ability to be able to tech up a little bit better. He's got both of these gases. He is utilizing his gas on all these banelings and all these roaches, finally chasing away that pesky Overlord. Taking the third and fourth gases as well. Shade still only has one gas, so he's not going to be able to utilize a lot of the tech that he actually set up to. Starting to get a second gas, and he's still naked on gas over here. I want to take a peek and see how much longer the replay is, but I honestly don't know. I would like to see both players decide to fight over the Xel'Naga watchtowers, because, yeah, the Overlord train's nice. I mean, Blues definitely has a good idea of what everything's going on here, but these provide so much more vision, and if there's anything fishy going on, the other player would know about it. So Fallen taking these Zerglings and trying to do a runaround. Shade now starting to get a little bit of vision that the Zergling run-by is happening, and there's not any kind of baneling defense going on in the base, so these Zerglings are able to run in and pretty much do whatever they want inside the base. And Shade decided to pull drones and attack with them, and that's not what you want to do. That Queen very well defended, but Fallen was able to take 10 workers with him. And 5 Banelings being morphed in, and Shade doesn't have any idea what's going on, but we see a counterattack coming from Shade, walking right up into Fallen's base, and try to keep an eye on these Banelings and see exactly what they do. We see some Lings walking up. These Banelings are walking right in. There's enough Banelings to do quite a amount of damage to see what they do. And, oh, taking out most of the drones in the mineral line. Shade is in a lot of trouble. Fallen with an excellent concave at the top, but he's losing his roaches and quite a few reinforcements coming in from Shade, so even though he's about to refood up, he's about to lose position. 28 Lings on the way, coming from Fallen. And we see some Banelings coming in, and oh my goodness, all of those Zerglings just died. We see the amount of roaches coming in from Shade are falling. And Fallen being able to hold this off and being able to hold a lead without losing any kind of workers. 18 kills for Fallen. So as we can see here, with the Lane Blame Baneling Wars and ZVZ, it's all about making sure that you keep your workers alive. So Shade, in an unfortunate error, has 4 guys on 1 gas in his main base, and 3 guys on his main, so he's only mining from 2. He doesn't have a whole lot of gas to be able to do anything with. Fallen Spire is just about to kick in. Fallen doing a good job with that Ling run by, and be able to just get in there, provide some sort of defense, warping in about 3 Banelings over here. Decides that the Roach Warren is definitely the tech that he wants to decide to take out. And he's got these 3 Banelings over here, and they can get back in here. They can do a lot of damage as well. I don't know why I'm whispering, but don't tell anyone. 9 Mutalisks are on the way for Fallen. And Shade has absolutely no idea that's coming, except for those two geysers to kind of have an educated guess, and very little anti-air for Shade. So once those Mutalisks come over, where are they? They're right at the front of the base. So once those Mutalisks come over, and Shade's going to be in a lot of trouble. Fallen decided to take the guaranteed damage, taking out the Overlord train that Shade has set up. Fallen putting down 4 spine crawlers just to make sure there isn't any kind of counterattack, and Shade is officially supply blocked. And Shade is not properly responding to this, only putting up 2 spore crawlers, and he's actually already evacing, which with those Banelings coming in is the correct response, but those mutas coming in and taking out the evolution chamber, those Banelings coming in and detonating on all of those drones! 29 workers killed for Fallen, only 2 for Shade. And Fallen has Mutas inside the base. And Shade, first one of the night tonight, decides to tap out graciously with the GG. So, in retrospect, as we watch Fallen's Mutas decide to go around the rest of the base, very good Ling Bling play from both players. They both did run-bys. They both exchanged very well. They did both a very good job in making sure they were able to get into the late game. Fallen was able to get a couple good exchanges with the Banelings, being able to do a lot of crisis management at home and not losing any, and able to get in quite a few kills with Banelings against Shade's mineral line. So it's definitely props to Fallen for being able to keep alive that long and be able to come in and do what he wants to with them. So, grats to him.